Hi and welcome to World of... and part 10 of my Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake comparison and review. So into double figures, and we start off here with a new side mission in the remake, signposted by this odd graffiti, which is explained it's in connection sort of with ghost stories around the train graveyard.
But it'll be fine. We've got a bodyguard, don't forget. Mine. Right?
Ghosts aren't my thing.
You're just being modest. After you.
Mind letting me go then?
So, rather than heading straight to the imminent danger of the pillar falling down, we have this side mission and not one but two boss battles to overcome.
Found you. Hey, can we talk? Just for a bit?
We come across a ghostly child who then morphs into a stereotypical type of ghost. We then face a rather lengthy quest around the train graveyard fighting these wee guys, and it all culminates in a battle with a large giant ghost, as you'll see in a moment, which ends up being made up of an amalgamation of a slew of little ones. Now, while I appreciate why many of the extensions and changes so far are in the remake, this mission, certainly at the time, it feels a little out of place given the urgency that we've seen to get back to see if the pillar falling down stories from the dawn are true. And we'll come back to that. However, I do think that the ghosts and the way they behave bear similarities with the wraiths that we've seen previously, and also the way that Aerith interacts with them.
To come and play with you.
And this maybe seems to imply a similar understanding here, or maybe a further example of Aerith's abilities.
We're through. Great.
The ghosts, though,
Let's head outside.
they do seem to have maybe some form of telepathy, as we see here that Tifa has a vision of one of these little ghosts become Marlene, which then triggers I love the cutscene of Tifa's memories with her. And we see Marlene recount the stories which circulate about the train graveyard, which it would seem we've found to be true in more ways than one, as we'll see shortly.
And the kids that the Black Wind carries away have to live in the train graveyard forever and ever. So you have to stay far, far away from there.
All right then, I will.
And we see here the harsh realities of Avalanche's work and the impact that Barrett's absence has on his little girl.
When is Daddy coming back?
Actually, he might not make it home tonight. Marlene, what are you?
And this vision seems to prompt Tifa to remember that we do actually have a goal in mind at the moment.
We can't waste any more time here.
Well, you think? In the original game, we only have two screens to traverse in between the areas here to get to the pillar from the graveyard and the Sector 7 station, which we have seen previously. But the way is blocked, so we have to move some trains about to get through. And following our spooky distractions, we also now get to do the same in the remake. But after the first move, there's what seems to be some kind of force, which would appear to be the ghosts again. And again, it does bear a striking resemblance to the work of the wraiths, so it does make me wonder if there's a connection between them. The train's activity brings to life the radio, and we can hear, and then we'll see the Turks confirming our hero's worst fears, that the warning of the plate being brought down upon 50,000 plus people is chillingly true.
Yeah, of course I do, because that's the damn thing ever. It's just that.
we heard soon, leader of the Turks over the radio there, and we will meet him in person shortly.
You got a death wish or something? Because I sure as shit don't.
What's happening? Do we have a problem?
Not really. Small arms fire from some local boys trying to defend the pillar.
Well, it would be good. Sending reinforcements. The more players that take the stage, the better.
So that's what we are.
Like that means when the mission is complete.
Tifa.
They're really gonna drop the plate.
They won't if Barrett and the others have anything to say about it.
All we can do now is keep moving.
Please. Please let us be in time.
So now we get that second train moved in the original, and you'll maybe note once again the relatively small amounts of the original game that there are actually in here so far. Over this video and the last one, we've maybe around 25 minutes, half an hour tops of original playtime to get from Don Corneo's to the climax of the plate section. In the remake, overall it took me well over 2 hours. Though, to be fair, I have the no battles on there in the original game, so maybe could feasibly take a little bit longer. I think though that it is very important that you judge these games individually. For all that I feel drawn at times to complain of too much padding and not getting on with this main story in the remake, we must bear in mind that this view comes heavily influenced from a deep love of the original game, and that a major part of that is its story. To me, it remains probably one of my favourite, if not my absolute favourite story in any medium. The way that it builds to what will be the end of the remake part 1, and then we suddenly explode into a massive quest to save the entire world. It's just so well told. The remake though
Almost
is
there.
making
Come
its own story, world and universe,
Right.
something highlighted with the upcoming Battle Royale style game for the mobile Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. But this is perhaps a price that such old timers as I must pay to see our beloved piece of the past realised so beautifully. We have the whole ghost side quest, but even the moving of the trains themselves was heavily expanded, as of course we'd expect no less than the whole thing to have looked amazing. Following our little bit of train conducting though, we do face some further delays. Little ghost return in spirit, aireth away, sorry for the pun. She hasn't gone far however, but has been taken to another area of the graveyard, and we get to see some glimpses of her past with the swirling clouds she seems to be trapped in. These clouds brought on though, not by the usual little ghosts, but another upgrade of a standard enemy to a major boss by the name of Eligor. Now, that you saw there with the flashing red eye, he's a rare enemy that you encounter in the train graveyard in the original game, which I didn't in my playthrough. And as with the Hell House that we saw previously, it was at that time in the game very difficult to vanquish. But Aerith seems to have some kind of knowledge and awareness of him, and I think that we then see here a memory of when Aerith was maybe playing in the graveyard as a child.
I'm ready. I said I'm ready. Come get me. I'm right here.
We then see an emotional Aerith, both child and adult, experiencing these events and recalling shouting for her mother, which, as we'll see next time, means more than you may think at the moment. Soon though, Cloud and Tifa arrive to rescue Aerith, which propels us into the boss battle with Eligor.
Hey, we found you.
I guess you did.
As I've said before, the remake is what you see when you peel back the covers of the original game screens and realise there's a whole further world going on underneath that you didn't have a clue about. And we know that this new boss is a major battle, not only to the fact that he's getting his own intro cutscene, but also, as we will shortly have the opportunity to then use a summon, which is only possible in the lengthy, more difficult boss fights, and is out with the player's control in the remake. And it is quite a prolonged battle even on easy mode. This just means a lot less attention needs to be given to healing, etc. And something I do kind of hope to do in the future, I think, is to have a proper go at completing the remake on the hard difficulty. You have no access to items during that time, which does make things very difficult. And to go back to the differences in view on the game, I'd imagine these are quite polarising depending on if you've played the original. While it may be possible to enjoy the game side of the remake more, maybe, having not played the original game, not having that sort of loaded knowledge, I feel that to properly get the remake you have to go back to see the 1997 classic. It was evidence to me watching my daughter play the remake, then go back to the original, and then play the remake again, and seem to get more out of it. So we've dispensed of Elgar, and our little ghost friend with the tear returns briefly. It's given its own little cutscene to go out on. I doubt it, but part of me still wonders whether we'll see them again in some fashion in later parts of the remake. Here a stunning view of the Midgar Plate central pillar before we head to face the drama over in Sector 7.
So long.
So we head off towards Sector 7. And we're going to pass the train station, for which I've reverted back to get some original footage in here. And I do like this little scene, as I think it gives you a rare glimpse of the true feelings of some of the NPC characters in the game. And despite its cartoony graphics, this and the coming scenes in the original do manage to convey the seriousness of the situation well. The train guard's reluctance to move here really making us consider his fate later after the terrible events that were coming. Back into the remake. Sure, our team confront the truth firsthand as the battle for the pillar and the Sector 7 slums becomes all too real. In the original, we know shit's kicking off because the Let's Fight tune is on and we're not actually in a battle. Our characters remaining hopeful of stopping things, and they hear the familiar rattle of gunfire. The remake though again takes things to another level visually. In this coming scene, note the repeated use of the "we don't negotiate with terrorists" line. Clearly a reference to what we've seen many times in Western cinema and TV of American governments, and I consider this could either be to help it maybe land with a US audience, but could also maybe be a little Japanese dig at the US.
Shinra does not negotiate with terrorists. Resist and we will use lethal force. I repeat, Shinra does not negotiate with terrorists. Resist and we will use lethal force. Got your lethal force right here, asshole! Stop! I said stop! Drop the weapon now!
Part of the remake's expansion here is the Avalanche team fighting Shinra being widened. They're pretty much only to allow for some Star Trek style red shirts, which seem to be here just to be cut down and add to the realism of it.
Dropping a whole plate. Just like that. No. No way.
Tifa!
Tifa, resolute. We then, though, encounter those mysterious wraiths again, whose job it would seem to is ensure we only get through when they deem it to be the correct time, and we will see them throughout the Pillar mission.
Let's do this.
These wraiths are obviously showing up at major plot points in the game, and while the prevailing view seems to be that they are to be defeated to maybe change the story, I am still hopeful that they are actually something which will ensure we progress closely to it, and none of the major plot points will be rewritten to them.
Aerith?
The wraiths seem to lose interest in us, and Aerith's
Come
look
on.
here to me shows that she knows all too well what's coming. I hope this is the way the remake takes us, with Aerith perhaps being the Final Fantasy VII veteran's eyes in the new game, knowing what tragedies are coming but being unable to prevent them. And we charge on towards the pillar and then come across a brief shot showing the reality of these people being around. But we then again hear that familiar gunfire. Again the remake, of course, adding some dialogue to boot. Of course, it's Barrett at the forefront of the action. And I really wanted to come back to the original for this, and shots like it. I just think it goes to show that although 24 years old, as of making this in 2021, Final Fantasy VII had some of the best graphics around at the time. Really only the polygon people in these scenes I think detract from the realism, even now in my opinion. And as we pan up, movement and a figure is forced back and plummets to the ground. It's Wedge, and things don't look good for him. Indeed, as we'll see, the three characters that are named after Star Wars characters, Wedge, Biggs and Jessie, all do not seem to have come out of this situation in the original game, but looking back with fresh remake eyes, or maybe should that be remake eyes? Sorry. Looking back and taking into account how the remake deals with them, their fates may not be as cut and dried as we had thought. Certainly Wedge here and Biggs are both relatively near to the ground, and their fates never specifically confirmed. We see Aerith agreeing then to go and find Marley and get her to safety, something she does in the original, but we never get to see how. The remake though will enlighten us soon. We then see warnings in both games for the local residents, but in the original none of them seem to go very far. But the remake does show the people we met in the early stages of Sector 7 are assisting in the evacuation. And as we cut to the remake, it gives us an explanation as to why and how Wedge could and does indeed survive the fall. I think this works well, as these grappling guns have been shown earlier in the game, and we lead into a nice scene which shows Wedge maybe lose his comedic edge a little bit and simply want to fight to save his friends and Sector 7.
Barrett and the others are still...
Stop. Stay with Wedge. I'm going up.
Sure.
I'm going too. I can still fight. Biggs, they were shooting at me and he...
Wedge, please. Let Cloud handle it.
Don't worry, I'll patch him up.
Hang on, guys. Help is coming.
Wedge, listen to me. You stay here with them.
And then we see Biggs stumbling down the stairs. Just take note of his placement there and the area around him, just where the stairs were, etc.
Gotta do my part to clear the path before you steal the show.
The remake has us do a lot more than just going up the stairs, with various landings and ladders breaking up the ascent. As you'll see here though, Biggs is in pretty much the exact same position. Again, I can't help but delight in these little parts, as I think it just goes to show how seriously the makers of the games have taken all matters. Just brilliant. As we approach Biggs in the remake though, we see the wraiths are there again, and I think this ties in with something, but you'll need to wait until probably the last video in this run of the series to see why. I'm not really trying to fight Cloud, but I sense a kind of checking him out there from that scene. Nice, it seems to be a farewell to Biggs, and as I've pitched 2 actors for characters in my last 2 videos, I'll state the obvious that Biggs seems to be clearly modelled on Charlie Sheen.
Don't worry. He'll bounce
Biggs shows his concern for Wedge and some children he helps to look after in Sector 7, but Cloud promises to do what he can in Biggs' memory, or so it seems.
Don't talk.
It's pretty bad up there. Cloud, promise me, don't let it be for nothing.
What about you?
I've still got some fight left in me. Good luck, Cloud. Our future is in your hands.
This isn't over.
As Cloud is visibly moved there, I think we see his transformation from the aloof merc that we began this journey with to perhaps what's actually going to be showing a more realistic and true version of him. Someone who does care about his friends and will fight to save and avenge them. So on the way up I dove back into the original to allow you to see again how remarkably close in details the enemies are in this game, and also for the most part found in the same areas. We fight some helo troopers there in the original game. As we see we then cross to the remake, it's clear how much attention the makers have given the project. As we progress though, the Turks are hot on Cloud's tail, pinning him down with helicopter gunfire. This leads to a scene which shows that Tifa's actually not joined us yet, but will set up her appearance with Cloud, as we saw in the original game's fight there with the helitroopers.
Thank you.
That was a close one.
How is it?
Much better, thanks.
Has Aerith healed
I'm
Wedge
sorry.
in some way?
I can't stay here. I have to help them.
Go. Follow your heart.
Aerith, there's a bar in the center of town, 7th Heaven. I need you to...
Get Marlene to safety, right? It's okay. I'll find her.
Huh?
And we also get to see what's happening on the ground as Aerith and Wedge get to the business of trying to save
Can you take
Marlene.
her to the bar for me, Wedge?
Consider it done. Now
And
get
is-
up there and kick Shinra's ass.
And as many of the Sector 7 slum residents as they possibly can.
Come on. 7th Heaven is this way.
Wedge, wait!
You guys can't stay here.
In the original, however, simply a few flights of stairs and a few battles to be fought. But here we're getting near the top to find a severely injured Jessie. We again have an option of being honest and caring, or we can make a little light in the face of the tragedy, a choice which we also face with Biggs. The remake though gives us a very emotional scene to say goodbye to Jessie, which really tugs at the heartstrings, and the scenes with her and Biggs, they harken back to the earlier chapter where we went to Jessie's parents' house on top of the plate.
It's not polite. Just stare, you know.
I referenced in that video how these characters were being built up more, and here we finally see the payoff from that. However, with Wedge surviving,
Jesse.
and perhaps Biggs, I can't rule out Jessie's survival, but in line with the other two, given where she is in the pillar, you know, don't know how that would play out, but you know, we'll wait and see. The impact to both Tifa and Cloud though is all too clear, but there's no time to hang about. So, flip back down to the ground, show Wedge forcing the guards to allow the
Our
Slum
lives are in
Dwellers
your
to escape.
hands. If you don't open up, we're all gonna die! Close it!
No, sir! I will not obey that order! This way, everyone! Quickly! Quickly!
You can't just... Wait!
Wedge! Seventh Heaven is just down this road, isn't it?
Head straight and look right. You can't miss it.
Don't worry about me.
All right, I'll get these people to safety.
Get out of Sector 7,
And we now
please!
get
We need
to
to
take
get as
control
far
of
away
Aerith
from
again for
Sector
a little
7
bit,
as possible right
and have
now.
to head through to
Go
Sector
Sector
7
5 or 6.
to try and
Anything
find
but
Marlene.
here.
On the way, she'll try
You
to
all
help
have to
get
get out of
people to
Sector 7
evacuate,
now, please.
and then brief Marlene Co.
Slow down.
on the situation.
You know what's going on. What do they want with the pillar?
Well, there's still time, but
They're going to drop the plate on us?
yes.
Those sons of bitches!
What good do they think that'll do?
Feel free to cry about it later. Right now, we need to get everyone to safety.
Wait, the Watts should clear the roads first.
Ah, good thinking. Up to it. Avalanche, I take it?
Just a friend.
Tell Tifa to lay low. We'll take care of things here.
The slum residents clearly aware and supportive of Avalanche. As Aerith encounters some trouble, we cut up to see our first glimpse of Tsung, leader of the Turks.
After all.
Bad news for Aerith that he's the one flying this chopper, as he sees
Change of plan.
and clearly recognises her. No time to dwell on that now though, as there's a little girl to save. As Aerith gets unsteadily to her feet, she heads for Seventh Heaven, and we get to see a scene that we could only imagine previously has played out.
Hold on, Marlene. I'm coming for you. You're Marlene, right?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Tifa's.
Where is she?
Right now, she's with Cloud and the others.
Daddy too?
You mean Barrett? Yep, he's there too.
Wait, Daddy's not coming home?
Not yet. That's why I came to find you. Tifa asked me to. She said, take care of Marlene. Shall we go?
So Marlene's understandably upset over the whole situation, but coming to watch for a little subtle glimpse of the flashback noise and scream wobble. Nothing is shown, but Marlene instantly becomes calmer, with Aerith asking that she remain quiet about what she's seen.
Huh?
It would appear another nod to the fact Aerith knows things and knows what's happening. Perhaps is able to project this to others. My personal feeling is that she's perhaps shown a glimpse of Barrett, and maybe Tifa and the others with Marlene, to show that all will be okay. For Marlene at least. And as we head from the bar, the helicopter we glimpsed a few moments ago lights the place up. We're properly introduced to Tsung and see that Aerith knows him
You led us on a
and
merry chase, Aerith.
has been in the Turks' clutches before.
Sung.
Before you say another word, know that your options are limited.
However, she bravely uses the opportunity to ensure Marlene's safety, and we'll see next time what that means,
There's nothing to be scared of, okay?
along with some big revelations about Aerith.
How about we make a deal?
Back to the pillar though, and we're now getting near the summit in the remake. As we get there, the stairs collapse under Tifa, meaning that we're trapped now at the top of the pillar, and we hear Barrett scream as he fights Shinra.
Get your ass back up now! Chopper's gonna chew you up!
Still alive and kicking?
Damn right. Leading man sticks around to the credits roll. So we gotta keep moving if we want to make it that far. You ready?
Yep.
We get a stunning view of the top of the pillar, and in both games, the Turks, Reno and Rid, are approaching in their own helicopter. Reno drops down and moves to start the plate separation process. We then head into a boss battle with him, and in the remake, Rid gets in on the action too. In the original, it's a much simpler process with the separation started before the fight. In the remake, however, it is slightly more drawn out.
Gotta play for keeps today. No time to dick around.
Plate separation authorized. Awaiting confirmation. Plate separation authorized. Awaiting confirmation.
Yeah, coming right up. No, you don't! Not when I'm working!
Plate separation authorized. Awaiting confirmation.
Press it. Now. You ain't got shit on us.
It's a simple enough battle in both games, and here I wanted to highlight how well this wee move from Reno trapping a party in his pyramid attack is realised in the remake. To free them in both games, you've got to strike the party member who's surrounded in the pyramid, but I just think it looks excellent in the remake. So back to the original, and Reno decides, as with most Turk fights, that it's time to go, and with that hops off to the helicopter to escape, which brings us to another, albeit smaller divergence between the two games, with the revelation of Aerith's capture dealt with differently, although the crux of the message very much the same.
Plate separation authorized. Awaiting confirmation.
Confirmation at the start of the clip that we have defeated both Turks, and we see that the Wraiths are in attendance, but clearly they're happy enough with how things are progressing at this stage.
How do we stop it?
Who knows?
Where are you going?
However, when we try to actually prevent the plate from falling, the Wraiths have other ideas and impede us in order to allow Rid to confirm Sector 7's destruction.
Where'd you?
Plate separation initiated. Plate separation initiated. Commencing separation sequence. Section 1 separation imminent. Evacuate immediately.
So after the battle, Wood carries off the unconscious Reno and we're treated to another final great shot of the pillar. We then see the remake change things up with Tsung and Aerith appearing on a video screen rather than in helicopter as they do in the original. Very similar to how they dealt with the President when he was earlier at Reactor 5.
You can't do this!
I found Marlene!
Now, Marlene isn't actually named in the original, but Aerith's statement earns her a slap from Tsung, who taunts her heroes on their impending doom.
Where are you?
I'm at the...
Sir, your activities unwittingly brought you into contact with the Ancients, who is now back in our custody where she belongs. For this, you have my sincerest gratitude. Alas, the sector in which you stand has been condemned.
Ancient?
Run! You have to go now!
And where exactly do you expect them to go?
Aerith!
The mention of the Ancient there has given Cloud some pause, but confirmation to us of Aerith's special status in the game. So as chaos and destruction rain down upon Cloud, Tifa and Barrett, all looking bleak for them to even survive this ordeal. In the original, the Turks escape in the nick of time, and in all honesty I can see how the video screen works way better for this story there. A rare win for me to give the remake. And taking that right back, I deem this 30-second countdown is a bit pointless, as there's no repercussion or end of game for not doing anything. We'd simply move on to this next glorious cutscene anyway.
Over here! Found us the way out!
Tifa.
Come on!
As we escape the platform, we see one of the scenes that I most look forward to seeing how they do in the remake, and it doesn't disappoint as the pillar comes down. And as the three characters leap to safety at the last moment, sliding down on support cables. As they're sliding down though, the characters catch sight of something, and we start to see the very real impacts of the slum residents, with giant pieces of metal crashing into their homes and surrounding areas. But there's a further potential personal impact for the characters and ourselves, as we see the Wraiths gathering around Wedge and his cats. Having survived the fall from the pillar, it did take me by surprise to see that bit of the remake seemingly killing them off, but we may have more than that in the next video. We'll slip back to the original as we move towards the end of this one, because as amazing as the remake looks and feels at times, I don't think you can watch this scene of the pillar falling and those poor little polygon people pointlessly running for their lives underneath without some awe, even now. Our heroes escaping the blast in the nick of time, landing in the playground that we saw previously. And we pan back into the offices of President Shin, overseeing it all to the sound of opera. Nary a thought of regret, which is again superbly done in the remake. But we then get a sneak peek of a future playable character, Kate Sith, as he laments the fall of the plate and its destruction. But I don't think we'll see him until the later parts of the remake, by which time he'll have found his giant Moogle for transport. So what now for our intrepid band? Who's survived? Who's perished? How will we save Aerith? Where's Marlene? Answers? Well, there for next time. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and please like, share, subscribe. Cheers for now.